I call it my hot mess to badass process. A breakup has a few phases. It has some pretty distinct phases. The first phase is the hot mess phase, right? It's the one right after the breakup. You want to be in your jammies all the time. You want to be eating that Haagen-Dazs. You're like crying all the time. You can't sleep. You don't want to eat, or you eat all the snacks, right? It's all of that. And I think one of the very first things that I help people with is embracing, like, yes, this is normal. This is okay. It's not a problem that you feel like your life is falling apart, because honestly, in a way, it is.
Are you tired of the mental chatter? The counting, the restricting, the punishing? Are you done standing in front of the mirror picking yourself apart? Done waiting until you're thinner or more motivated or finally feel ready before you start actually living your life? Good, because confidence isn't something you earn. It's something you decide. Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, your go-to podcast for women who are ready to stop shrinking and start showing up fully in the body they have right now. I'm your host, Morgan Barkis, author, speaker, exotic dance instructor, and empowerment coach for women. I earned my master's degree in marriage and family therapy while stripping to pay for graduate school. And I enjoyed the work so much, I ended up dancing for over a decade. Now I coach women who are ready to flip the negative self-talk, rewrite the stories that have kept them playing small, and feel powerful and confident in their bodies without the strict diets, soul-crushing workouts, and another quick fix that never really actually works. This is not positive affirmation confidence. This is confidence embodied. Every episode is designed to help you ditch the insecurities, reclaim your body, and live like the unapologetic woman you were always meant to be. Whether I'm flying solo or bringing you a raw, unfiltered conversation with remarkable women, this is your space to be honest, get free, and get loud. Turn up the volume, listen at 1.5 speed while you're doing other things, and strap in, because me, I'm a crazy driver. Let's get into this episode.
I'm in California. It's sunny. It's so much prettier than Washington and Oregon, and yeah.
All right, we're going to dive right in because you are the breakup queen. I want to rewind to an earlier part of your story, since you are a breakup queen. Like when you first started dating and what it was like with boys. And did you have a terrible breakup when you were younger, or you thought love was wonderful? I say this because I dated somebody once and he broke with me on Valentine's Day. And I feel like Valentine's Day has been cursed ever since. And so anyway, I have these weird things. But anyway, I want to hear, like, for you, your experience dating and boys, and what led you to what you do now.
Yes, dating was really hard for me.
Wait, remind me where you grew up. You were in
Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to catch your listeners up, I'm on a road trip cross country, exploring different places as possibilities to live. And, you know, starting from the ending, I've lived my life trying to be in a relationship, of always going from one relationship or wondering, how do I get in the next relationship, or how do I get to the next one? And never really actually living my life, never deciding what is the life I want to live. And so that's where I am currently. I'm currently in the place where I'm like, what's the life I want to live? Where do I want to live? What do I want to be doing? Who do I want to be around? So,
and Sarah,
yeah.
Remind me how old you are. You're 35-ish?
No, thank you for that, though. I'm 42.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
40s.
So for some reason, I was on your website and I thought you were 35, but maybe it was like 35, you experienced something. I can't remember now.
Right. That could be it. Yes. So I always picked the unavailable guys. I picked the guys that were the sexy bad boys, or the artist types, or the ones that weren't quite ready to settle down. And I always had the story of like, well, I'm going to be the one that changes this for them. And I think everybody can guess how that went. I usually got my heart smashed to pieces because I was dating for their potential, not the real person in front of me. And
sure. And were you like that even as a teen? Like when you had crushes on boys, did you like the bad boys or the nerdy guys, or a mix of both?
I was a serial monogamist in my teens. I went from a 1.5-year relationship to a 4.5-year relationship to a 2-year relationship. Yeah, I went like
even as a teenager.
Those were all good guys. It was high school. What did I know? So,
No, we don't know anything in high school.
nothing. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't actually compatible with any of those people, even though they're great people. But yeah, somewhere in my 20s, I don't know. You and I talked about Sex in the City last time when you came on my podcast, and Samantha Jones was your spirit animal. I was like trying to be a Carrie. I don't know what I was doing. Like, I wanted to have great sex. I wanted to find my like epic love story and started dating more of the bad boy type. And then that was my 20s. That was my 30s. I met somebody, it's probably this of like, I met somebody great at 35. And we had a very like breakup, get back together kind of story for a little while until we both did some therapy. And then we were together for 2.5 years. I thought this was my person. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And like, look at us, look how far we've come. Until one day he came to me and he said, Sarah, I love you. I don't want a life with you anymore. And that's shattering, right? Of, oh, I thought we were going to have kids. I thought we were literally looking at rings. I thought we were going to get married. But there was a voice in the back of my head. It was really small because I was mostly devastated, but the small voice was relieved of your life.
Really?
Yeah.
Say more about.
It was more of a feeling of like my life is going to be bigger than this relationship. And
Okay.
the life I want to have would have had no place in that relationship. I would have had to stay
That's
small.
interesting. Have you ever heard of the book? Have you ever heard of the book The Midnight Library?
I'm reading it now.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, shoot, how far along are you? Because I don't want to spoil it.
Like 3/4. I'm 3/4 of the way through. So she
Okay,
did the
so-
yeah.
Okay, so she went through the relationship where she should have, could have with the married that one guy?
Yeah.
Okay. I say that because I've had one relationship in my life that I would consider serious in that I was in love, like love at first sight. I was 28 when we first met and we dated. And then 6 years we didn't date and we got back together when I was 40. And so we knew each other solid 16 years. And even though the chemistry was off the chain, good sex, we were so attracted to each other. There were two moments. Once I was driving and talking to my parents, as I often do in the morning. We have coffee talk in the morning. And my mom asked me point blank, is this the relationship that you want? And I said, no. Because it wasn't what I saw as a relationship, like what I needed out of a relationship or what I saw a relationship being. And then when I read The Midnight Library, that's when I finally decided to end it. I read that story about her, backtracking, going, I should have married that guy. And then she did in the scenario. And then it turned out to one of them had to make concessions. She never wanted a pub in the country. And yet she went along with it. And it turned out, and I thought, well, I'll be the one that makes the concessions for sure. Because I'm always the one that is making the concessions. Mm-hmm. And I thought, either one of us, if we stay together, are not going to be living the life that we want to live. I guess we got to end this. And it was like, I sent him the text and I called my mom immediately and I'm like, oh my God, I just did it, and it was what I knew I needed to do. And it was devastating.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you felt like that as well.
Yeah.
Like it was scary and sad. And at the same time, you're like, this is just what is meant to be, I guess.
Yeah. There was a part of me that pretty quickly arrived at the realization, I guess, or the truth of he had the courage to say it wasn't a right fit and I didn't have that courage. So he did both of us a favor.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was like you had the braveness to step up and say, this is not the relationship I want. And he had that braveness. Yeah. So that breakup there was that moment of like, my life's going to be bigger than this relationship. And I also felt like it was a fork in the road of I've always healed, quote unquote, healed from my breakups by like blaming myself of where did I go wrong? How did I mess this up? Why was I not good enough for him to stay? And I was like, what if we don't do that? What if there's a different way to get over this relationship? And let's figure out what that is. And if I can figure it out, then I can teach other people.
Sarah, how did you figure it out? And I asked because I had a light bulb moment. I was living in California at the time in this 1-bedroom apartment in Rancho Cucamonga.
All right.
And I had sort of ended things with someone and we were like kind of dabbling, like maybe we can make it work, maybe we can't. And it was long distance and it didn't even work when we were in the same town. So it was meant to fall apart. And I had that moment where I was standing in the mirror and I was looking and I'm kind of crying and thinking, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I always failing? Why am I picking the wrong people? And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, what if it's not me? What if there's nothing wrong with me? Yes, I'm choosing the wrong people and there's nothing wrong with me. And so I ended up getting a tattoo in my own handwriting that says I am enough. Because I was like, I need to make sure I remind myself that this isn't about me. So what was your turnaround and what did it look like to come to that realization?
Well, at the time I had no idea. I was like, I don't even know how to start this, right? Like I was in therapy, so I kept seeing my therapist. I hired a life coach. I was like, all right. I went to Cuba. Like I was saving all this money for a wedding. I was like, I'm going to spend it on a trip. And I joined a women's group it was an feminine embodiment group. And so it ended up like this little smattering of, as I healed, I was keeping a journal and I was like, okay, I was able to get these skills from this place and I was able to gain this confidence from here. And so I pulled all of it together of why did I have to go to 4 different places and another country to put this all together? And so that's really how my program got developed. I was like, nobody should have to do that much to heal. And I'm going to put it all together in a program and a process.
I love that because that is exactly what I did with mine. Mine's completely different. I deal with disordered eating and body image issues. And that was the same thing. It was like, it took me years of all these different things. And I was like, I just wanted someone to show me the solution. So I created the solution. So tell me more then about your solution. And didn't you have a second breakup too that kind of shook you and steered you in some way?
Oh, I think so. I also had a Valentine's Day, like heart-shattering breakup. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So I actually found out the day after. So we had like a great Valentine's Day together and I went home and he lived an hour from me. So I went home and a friend of mine called and said, I have something really hard to tell you. And I really debated about not telling you. And of course, that's when you're like, oh, I know what this is going to be. Like feminine intuition. I know. He was cheating on me with somebody who lived in a totally different state. So he was having 2 relationships going on at the same time. And this friend of both of ours told us. And yeah, so I think that was really earth-shattering, but in a different way, because in that breakup, he got to be the bad guy, right? He's the one that cheated. He's the one that really messed up. He had issues. So I could point all the blame at him. And so I wasn't really doing the thing of like, why wasn't I good enough? Maybe I did a little bit. I just really held on to a lot of anger towards him. And so fast forward, that was, I don't remember, literally 8 years go by. I've had the relationship with this other guy, right? Like time's gone on. I thought I met the love of my life. That one ends as well. The guy that cheated on me sends an email pretty much out of the blue, and it was an apology letter taking responsibility for all the ways that he hurt me. And I realized I had held on to anger and resentment for 8 years. And that apology like tapped into something. I cried literally for an entire weekend. And I finally let it all go because I was finally ready. All that work I'd done, like the travel, the embodiment work, like my body was ready to stop holding on. I had tools to be able to process grief that was that big, and I could let it all go. So yeah, so that I think that was the second one.
Yeah, I remember doing my little research on you, and there was one breakup where you. And now the first one was that the one where you kind of held on for a little bit, and you're like, hey, maybe we could still make it work.
Yeah.
And then the second one, you're like, goodbye, you're a cheater. Yeah. Did you confront him? And like when you found out that your friend, did you call him, or did the friend like how did you confront him that you found out?
He came to me like. So she called the other woman first, and then she called me. So I don't know, he might have been on the phone with her and then hopped in the car and drove up to see me. I have no idea, but he came up to like apologize in person and And my my pattern, right, was always to blame myself. And so even that, like I took it as a rejection. And it wasn't that I confronted him. I had no access to my anger. It wasn't, I quote
Mm.
unquote, like I wasn't an angry person. So I wasn't mad at him. I mean, of course I was. I just didn't know how to do it. And so I just remember like collapsing in tears. And even that, I'm not proud of this, but I did want to try to make it work. I, again, was like, I'll be the exception. I'll forgive you and we can move on. I'll be the bigger person. And of course he said no. And yeah, and so then I just held on to the anger of I was the one that was cheated on. And I got to feel self righteous about it. I got to feel good. All my friends knew, right? Of like, oh, look at you being the bigger person and moving on and forget about him. But underneath, the reality was I was just kind of stewing. And what's that saying about anger or rage is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right? That's totally what it was. I had that poison in my system for 8 years and didn't even know.
Now, and the self-discovery stuff you did, that was in between these, right? After you guys were
No.
almost practically engaged. And oh,
Yeah.
remind me of the timeline.
So the relationship with the guy that cheated on me, I was in my early 30s. So I was like 32, 33 when that
Okay.
ended. And then I dated the other
And
guy.
then you met the other.
Right, right, which is the wild thing. I think so many of us, when I talk to people about like getting over your relationship, we hang on to baggage for years that we don't even know that is there, right? That stuff can be really
Sure.
toxic of like, especially if you've been cheated on. We hang on to it and it shows up in the next relationship kind of like, well, the way it showed up for me in that second relationship was I was so insecure. He had a female best friend and I was so insecure about it of like always like, well, what is she texting? What are you guys doing? Like, what are you talking about? Why am I not invited? And I was so scared I was going to get cheated on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, and I would say, and do we ever completely heal? Like, because I like that you said, finally you cried it out, and for an entire weekend after you apologized, even though it was 8 years later, you still. Because I feel that way about my one and only ex. I honestly hope I never, ever, ever see him because it's not that I can't move on and I'm still in love with him, and I loved him. We didn't not love each other anymore. We just didn't have the same idea of what a relationship was supposed to look like or the way it would play out, and we had to part ways. Call me unhealed, but I don't ever want to see him again. It would break my heart to see him again. I would get all kinds of shook up.
yeah. So, do you
I
mind
don't, I
talking a
don't,
little
I don't
more
know what
about
it's
that?
like.
Like, you get all shook up. What would that
Heck
be
yeah.
like?
Well, I would feel real panicky. If I saw him, because we did have such a strong chemistry, I would be like attracted to him. I would think about how many years we knew each other and the history we had and the love we had and the good times. And that I don't hate him. I wouldn't be able to see him again. I don't know why. I just wouldn't want to because it would hurt me that we had so much love and we couldn't make it work. That even though there's love, that doesn't mean that there's compatibility. And that to me was a hard thing to swallow. And that's why I stayed in the relationship so long because I was like, love will out. So I guess that's what it is. I was just the sadness of you can really love someone and it's still not a fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I will say that that's actually healable. Like there is a way to,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a way to get to a place. So play it this way. Why is it a bad thing to love somebody and for it to not be enough? Why is that bad?
Oh, it's not bad. It would just, for me, it would be emotionally dysregulating to see him because I'd want to hug him and I'd want to, like, I would be like, oh my God, I still love you. And I would just, I guess it's not bad. It's just, it would be emotionally hard for me. I would feel, I saw a video years ago of this woman who was in an art installation and it was like a real life art installation. It's somewhere, I want to say New York, but who knows? But anyway, she was sitting at a table and her whole art installation was to be completely deadpan, like serious. And people would come and sit across from the table from her as long as they wanted and then move on. And people after people. And then a man sat across from her that she hadn't seen in 30 years and they were former lovers. And they both started crying. And I was like, That would be us. Like if I saw him 30 years from now, I would start bawling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's bad or good or what.
So bad was probably the wrong word choice on my part. The problem is in the fact that you have feelings and you're making it wrong that you have feelings of love for him. Right? Like I shouldn't have those. I can't have those, right? Like it's like you're beating up on yourself for not being neutral about it.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what the pain is like you're making yourself wrong that you love him. But what if you could love him and also know deep in your bones it's not my person. I can love him, but he's not my person.
Wow, I like that. That's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah.
A much healthier way to look at it.
And so I will say,
I don't want to run into him.
I get it. But there's a difference between boundaries of like it's healthier for this person to not be in my life versus like a panic attack if I see you. Those are different things.
You're right. That's very different. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Emotional regulation versus not.
Yeah.
So on your healing journey, then we'll talk about you first, and then maybe one or two of your favorite clients. Like you talked about Cuba, and you talked about your empowerment group, and it's different things. So, and then you piece it all together, and that's how you help women. Do you work with men and women, or
just women right now? I mean, men hire me. Men hire me, yeah, and I'm not going to turn them away. But yeah, I love working with women.
That's awesome. Okay. Same. If I had a guy who was like, really would love to talk about body confidence and feeling more confident in my body, I'd be like, you got it. But yes, I love working with women. So for you, you put the pieces together. Tell me more. Like when you went to Cuba, what was the realization? What was the experience that something clicked? And then the other piece, like what were some of the pieces and the shifts you had because of those? Because again, I have my different moments in my life where I was like, ding, 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 like something went off for me that now I can, create a coaching solution around that. So tell me more about your different experiences and what moment or light bulb moments you had.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to talk backwards. So what I've arrived at, I call it my hot mess to badass process. And a breakup has a few phases. It has some pretty distinct phases. The first phase is the hot mess phase, right? It's the one right after the breakup. You want to be in your jammies all the time. You want to be eating that Haagen-Dazs. You're like crying all the time. You can't sleep. You don't want to eat, or you eat all the snacks, right? It's all of that. And I think one of the very first things that I help people with is embracing, like, yes, this is normal. This is okay. It's not a problem that you feel like your life is falling apart, because honestly, in a way it is. And I think I was coming to that in Cuba because Cuba is such a mess as a country. And they don't try to fix it. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the money. Like they can't. And so it's this beautiful mess of a country. And they still have so much joy and vitality. Like literally buildings are falling down. People don't have full roofs. And they're like, cool, like it rains. We stand over there. It's all right. It's wild. And I think the message I took from that was embrace the mess. And
I love that.
Yeah. So what I help people with is really how do we let you be in your body at this time, right? Your audience is very much about being in your body. This is not the time to analyze. Let's not think. Let's just let you feel in a safe container. And so I teach people a process for moving their emotions that don't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel scary. I give kind of like a scaffolding so that you can feel held through it. Because the last thing anybody wants is a crying fit that never stops. So we have to set up some structure around it. But that's step one, is the hot mess phase. The second phase, which I think also started to come to me in Cuba, like my journal was like filling up with ideas. The second phase is, honestly, it's like the breakup bangs. Like that's the best way to describe it. It's that phase when you're like, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to put on real clothes. I'm going to put on an outfit because it helps me feel better, right? We know that feeling of like, I signed up for a private dance class with a hot Cuban man. Like it wasn't because I wanted him to take me out. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to like feel alive again. And I hadn't felt that for so long, right? it's your come back to life moment. And you start thinking of like, ooh, what if in my new life, like I could be the hot girl and I could have this great new hairstyle and I'm going to get my nails done. And like, right, like you create this new persona for yourself. Or I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to give back to my community, or I'm going to start a side hustle, right? It's sort of like this dreaming phase where you get to decide, what am I gonna do with all my free time now? Because I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time thinking about my ex, like putting a lot of energy into that relationship, your date nights and dinners and all of that stuff. And you get to choose how you fill it. And I think it helps so much better if you have a way to direct it, right? You choose a way to direct that time rather than I'm just going to stay on my couch, you know?
I like that. Okay, so embrace the mess and just be in your body,
Right?
let yourself cry or whatever.
Yep.
Have containers.
Yep.
And then figure out what it is, little baby steps that make you feel better, it sounds
Yep.
like to put yourself back out there, to remember that you are alive and you are going to go through this and move forward.
Yep. Yep.
I
So
love
that's step
that.
2.
And what about if they backtrack? Go
Go ahead. No,
Sorry.
that's a great question. What happens if you backtrack?
Yeah, because I mean, there's moments where you get triggered or something comes up or the ex texts you or something. I mean, there's things that happen that make you fall down. What do you do with that?
It's actually the third step. The third phase is where we really start creating, I call it a detachment protocol, right? We want a process. This is a messy thing and everybody kind of stumbles their way through it. And so I took my background of how can I create some checklists here? How can I create a process that helps people feel like they're making steps forward? You know, because that is one of the things that has us slide backwards. Because we start looking backwards and we start thinking, all my happy memories are behind me. Like all of my best days are behind me. What if I never have it again? What if nobody loves me the way that he did, right? And that's when you reach out to your ex, or that's when you get really mopey again. So what we want to do is we want to create some guardrails, if you will, around what exactly is going to help you in particular to detach from that relationship, to detach from your future, and create a healthy attachment to this future version of you. Does that make sense? I see you're nodding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I used to get emotionally dysregulated and I would stay emotionally dysregulated.
Yes.
So for me, a lot of my work, and not even with breakup stuff, I'm just saying in life in general, one, I think you get older and older. And I also am grateful to have one of my besties who is a marriage and family therapist. We went to graduate school together, and she is since a very, very renowned therapist in Minnesota. And so I got her on speed dial when I'm going through something. And she has helped me through the years. I have more of an anxious personality, anxious attachment. So she has definitely helped me regulate quicker. And so when there were times when I was on the floor, curled up in a ball crying, was able to snap on it in like 5 minutes, whereas before it might ruin my entire day.
Exactly.
So I will say, yeah, I definitely, like with practice and also turning around the thoughts, it was, because it is easy to spiral and go, what's wrong with me? Why am I always the one that like it never works out for me and I'm going to be alone forever? And
yeah.
And I read the book, Matthew Hussey's book, Love Life. That got me through. I walked in nature and listened to classical music and listened to Matthew Hussey's Love Life on repeat for months.
I love that.
That got me through the breakup.
Yeah. And, it definitely doesn't hurt having a nice British man's voice in your ears. That helps.
Well, and I just love that he says things in a really just like point blank way. And you're like, yep, that is true. That belief, if I can turn around this negative belief to believe this, that is the truer statement, instead of spiraling to the not very nice thing I just thought about myself. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
okay.
So exactly. So that third phase is about uncovering what are these beliefs that are running. Like, how do I turn them around? Right. We have to get under that. We have to figure it out, and then create sort of what is your protocol steps. If you're going to love your body, right, and you want to stop emotional eating, you probably have some guardrails in place of like, what are some healthier things to turn to in those moments where I would normally grab a snack? the same thing. Instead of grabbing
Yeah.
your phone to text your ex, let's create a plan of what are you going to do instead.
I love that. You know, knowledge is power. Years ago, I had this health coach because I knew her because we used to be therapists together at this outpatient clinic in Minnesota. And then I had moved to Florida and I don't know where she is now. But anyway, we virtually worked together. And I said, I need to eat more vegetables. I I know I don't really cook and I know I should be eating more vegetables. And then we ended up talking about all these other things around health and wellness, not just vegetables. But anyway, um, I asked her one time, I used to work nights. And so I worked at this nightclub. I was dancing down in Miami and the shifts were like, 11 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning, so my whole body clock and circadian rhythm was messed up like 3, 4 days a week. And I told her, I said, why, when I'm so tired, I just want to eat all the carbs. And she said, Morgan, because your body needs energy. And the fastest way to energy is sugar and carbs. And I was like, oh. She said, so if you can, eat something that's very protein rich and like and I was, so even knowing that, like knowing that I now have a decision based on knowledge, it wasn't just like, I'm tired, I want carbs. Well, now I knew why I wanted carbs and I could consciously make the decision, okay, I am very tired right now physically. My body is wanting energy. I'm still going to choose a healthier meal instead of the carbs and I'm going to go to bed early tonight.
Yep.
So it was, to me, it was knowledge is power. Is that how it can work too with like some of the breakup stuff that comes up?
Yeah. And speaking of men, I just had a male client I was talking to about this. He was like, well, he's like all the ways that he feels better because we've been working together 3 months. And
Okay.
he's like, but I still want to text her sometimes. And I was like, okay, so when do you want to text her? And it was the same thing. He said, when I'm tired. And I was like, cool. So when you're tired, good to know. What would you get if you texted her when you're tired? You're tired, you text her, what's then? He goes, oh, I would just get, like, I would feel comforted, like somebody still wants me. And I was like, all right, so we just got 2 pieces of information. When you're tired, your mental defenses are low. So let's create a plan around what you're going to do when you're tired instead of reaching for your phone. But also, you are craving comfort right now. You're craving a reminder that you are, like, right, you're enough. It's the same thing. So what else can we do? How can we create some comfort for you? How do we remind you that you're enough? And it's the same thing. Yeah.
I like that's paralleling. Now, I love these stories about clients. What's another journey that you took someone through and you were like, my work here is done. She is in a much better place. I mean, obviously you have your own case study, if you will, and your own experience that even manifested this wonderful coaching program. P.S. Tell people where they can find you. Like, what's your favorite way for folks to find you and
Oh, yeah.
look into this as we're chatting?
Absolutely. So my Instagram at Sarah Curnoles is a great place to do it. And I'll spell it and I'll give it to you for your show notes.
Well, I'll put it in the show notes.
We'll pop it in the show notes.
Yeah.
I also have a really exciting challenge coming up. I haven't publicly announced it, so you're getting a little bit. I don't even have the landing page live. Like, that's how secretive this is. So I'm running a challenge.
Well, this podcast is probably going to go out the end of March. So are you going to be
perfect.
ready?
Yeah. April. It's going in April. So,
oh, perfect.
Yep. So it's going to be are you living on a prayer or are you living on a dare challenge? And so I'm going to be helping women to accept little dares to help it make a lot more, to be a bit more fun, a bit more playful with moving on from your ex, right? So we're going to have some fun with it.
Okay. So I will put your Instagram in the show notes. Do you want me to put the website in there too so they can find that one?
Yeah. I'll give you the link.
Landing page.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to some of your favorite stories that folks that you worked with.
Yeah. So you had mentioned earlier about the regulating yourself of like instead of curling up in a ball and ruining your whole day. I had a client, and again, she was one of those people where she's older. She's in her early 60s, mid 60s, right? So you have that story of maybe this is it. Maybe there aren't any great people. And that's where she was when she came to me of like, I thought we were going to be forever, right? For the rest of our lives at this age. And it was already a lot that I found somebody at this age. And they weren't compatible. They didn't actually have long-term goals in common. They wanted different things. And they broke up. and she's on the apps. Like, right, we'd worked together 3 months. We got her to the place where she's back out there. She's dating, so she's on the apps, and she's swiping and came across him and had a big reaction, right? Anybody would. You see your ex on the apps? No fun.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right? Like, so she had a freak out. And then everything we had worked on kicked in, and she was like, I know how to handle this. She did an emotional protocol. So she moved her emotions, and then she went to her journal and she did some sort of like some thought realization of like, what are the thoughts underneath of this and how can I shift it? And 30 minutes, she got to the place where she's like, I'm allowed to be on the apps. So can he. That's fine. Next. And I was like, that's amazing. 30 minutes is great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they matched?
Oh, goodness gracious.
You'd be like, no, we're not a match. We've already determined that you don't want what I want.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. More stories.
More stories. Okay. I had another client who, I don't know if I told this one last time, so this might be a new story for you. I had a client who reached out to me recently, right? We worked together a year ago, and she came to me because she's in her early 40s. She was with her ex in her late 30s and couldn't get over him, like was obsessive about it. And she's like, this has got to stop. Mm. And what we realized was she was so stuck on him because what was under all of that was she believed he took her best years. He took her final years to have a baby, and she really wanted to have a baby. And she hadn't grieved that. And instead, she was just really angry and really stuck on him and honestly was trying to get him back because she wanted a baby. And obviously, logically, she knew he wasn't going to be able to do that. He didn't want to do that. So we worked together, and the realization that she had was having a baby is the most important thing to me. I'm meant to be a mom in this world. And then she got to the realization she's like, I'm going to do this alone. I'm going to do this on my own. And so she went through the process and started it while we were coaching together. And this is where it gets wild. She decided, I'm also going to date. Right? I don't want to date and put pressure on dating of like, we have to get married tomorrow so I can have a baby. She did both at the same time. She was like, I want to enjoy getting to know somebody. Yeah. So she started the process for IVF. She started dating. And then at some point she decided that's not enough. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my master's degree, because I don't have enough going. But she was like, I love my life so much. Like, I want to keep this going. So she emails me and we're just catching up. And she's like, I wanted to let you know I'm pregnant. I'm expecting. And I was like, oh my God, congratulations. That's amazing. And then she was like, I've also been seeing somebody for a year. Like, the two parallel tracks worked. And he's excited to support me on my journey. He loves that I'm doing this for me. And our relationship has been able to unfold really naturally without any pressure. I was like, this is incredible.
It is incredible. And I have so many questions, which you may or may not even be able to answer, because I'm like, okay, so then they have this baby and then they end up staying together. And then do they decide to then also have kids together?
I don't know. I literally just got this. I got this like a month ago. So it's still in process, still figuring it out. But
I love that for her.
But what I loved was it was a woman who said, I want to live my life my way. And I'll figure out the relationship as I go. I'm not going to bend my life into a pretzel for somebody else. I'm going to decide what's the shape of my life. And the right person can join me in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am a feminist. Grade A, level 10 feminist. And I didn't even know this. When I was in graduate school, I said something about like, well, I'm not a feminist. How old was I then? I was I started school when I was 26. I was in graduate school. I started at 26. And I had just started dancing. So I was a stripper and I loved boys. I love boys still. And for whatever reason, when I was in graduate school, I thought to be a feminist meant you hated guys. And so I remember one of my friends, she's like, well, absolutely you're a feminist, Morgan. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I like guys. She's like, okay, time out. Like, there's way more to being a feminist than not liking guys. And so now, fast forward all these years, I am hearing that story makes me so happy because as a feminist, I am just happy that women have put themselves in a place with education and careers and independence and confidence that they can go out and live their life and find a partner who loves them and it will partner with them for no other reason than partnership. That
Correct.
we're not financially dependent, we're not geographically dependent, we don't need a man to put over a roof over our head. We get to decide what we're going to do with our lives, and the perfect man for us will go along and be like, that sounds like a great life to me too, and add value to that. And it just makes me so happy that she found somebody that was like, I love that you're doing this, let's date.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I think that's right, that's what feminism actually wants, is for women to have all the
Yes,
choices. You get to decide what's right for
yes.
you. There's no right or wrong, but like whatever that is, you have the power to do it. And I love that she had the confidence to go after it. She was worried. She was worried. What are people going to think? Is a guy not going to want to raise somebody else's baby? Is this going to be a problem? And I said, if it is, think you next, because you want the man who partners
Hmm.
with you for the life you want, not conditionally of only if you play by his rules.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. Or thinks it's crazy that you're doing that. Yeah.
right.
I recently told a couple girlfriends of mine, I'm like, is there a podcast? Is there a dating app for feminists? Like you could literally
I
where
wish.
all the feminist men are. Like if all the really liberal feminist men could sign up for a dating app, I would be all over that.
Right.
Because I'd be like, well, this is great. Now, I will say I live very near Chicago and go into the city quite often. And I feel like it's a very liberal, open-minded city, which is awesome. So I will say I meet a lot of really cool men and women that are really, really worldly, open-minded, educated, and really cool to be around. So I would say where you geographically live has a lot to do with dating. And I'm assuming for your coaching, if your clients want to walk through with you as they start dating, and obviously you help them through the breakup, you help them also re-enter the dating world. Is that the case?
Yeah, so I help people. What I like to say is, I want to create a life in the shape of you, whether that
Mm.
means, because I get a lot of people right now who want to take a break from dating. And I'm like, that's awesome. I did that too. And that was the best way for me to design the life I wanted. I needed to step out of
Mm.
the relationship cycle I had been in. So if that's what people need, I support them in that. And if it's about getting back into dating, I support people in that. I'm a single woman. I'm dating. I know how these apps work. I got the skills to help people get the relationship they want. So if that's what people want, I'm here for it.
Sure. Can you do your tagline again? What was that about the life that's in the shape of you? Say it again. I
Oh,
liked
yeah,
that.
I help people create a life in the shape of you.
That is lovely. All right, as we wrap, I would love to know your life motto because you seem like a glowy, happy, grounded woman, and you're out here serving and making the world a better place. What do you live by? What is your motto or your compass, if you will?
So the one I've been using, and I'm gonna caveat it. Don't go faster than you can feel. It's the one I've been using, and I added a piece to it because I've been, you know how you pick up a motto, you live by it, you're like, wait a second, there's a piece missing. Then you can feel and digest it. Don't go faster than you can feel and digest it, right?
Do you have an example of how you're living that out?
So it felt incomplete because it was a lot of feeling. It was a lot of feeling when I was doing that, which is great. I've had a lot of feelings lately. I had a lot of stuff to process. And what I wasn't doing was I wasn't integrating it into my life. Like it was sort of like an untethered balloon, just kind of like floating and floating from thing to thing and thing to thing without feeling any sort of ground at any time. So for me, the digestion is about I'm making decisions from that grounded place, right? Like I might be angry, but I'm not going to make it a decision from anger. I'm going to move through it. I'm going to come back to what did I learn from this? What do I want to take forward? How do I want to make a decision here? right? To me, that's kind of like the digestion. It's not just deciding from the height of the emotion. It's coming from ground.
Probably hence why you feel so grounded.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode hit you in your heart, please take a second and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps more women like you find this show, and that is exactly the point. If you're ready to stop feeling self-conscious and start feeling like yourself again, grab my free guide, Self-Conscious to Sexy in 10 Minutes. It's a 4-step reset to get yourself out of your head and back into your body feeling confident and sexy. The link is in the show notes. Go to morganbarkus.com. You can explore everything else I have to offer, including my coaching program, my mission, and how you can work with me. Come find me on Instagram at morganbarkus and send a DM. I love hearing from you. Until next time, stay unapologetic.